What is going on, guys? Okay, so today I'm going to be doing some more market analysis, kind of for the week, and there's some news, there's some events, should I say, that are coming out. So we're gonna have to see how those play into the stock market. I'm going to give you kind of my, I wouldn't say prediction, but what I'm kind of could be expecting for the week. Spoiler, I think that this could be a red week again. So we'll go into that and check it out in a second. Now, really quick, this is my Discord. If you're not in my Discord, I highly recommend it. Actually, shout out to Bob right here, KBL Destinations right here. This guy is amazing. He's actually changed some stuff in the Discord, so there's more things to do in here. If you want to learn how to trade, he's pretty much put out a category of where you can learn and how you can learn and upgrade your knowledge pretty much, right? So again, check it out. I would highly recommend checking out the Discord. Link is in the description. Okay, so let's go to Trading View. Let's look at SPY. Now, again, we kind of looked at this last week. Now, if you've been watching my channel for quite some time, a couple of days, couple of weeks, I've been talking about the SPY chart and basically, okay, let me do the day chart. Okay, so again, I've been saying that we've been in this channel, we've been in this ranging channel, this wedge pretty much. Okay, so again, like I've said before, if we break this to the downside and we close below it, that that could be a signal for us to come back down to this 200 SMA. Okay, now I'm not calling for that. Again, this is a doji candle that printed on the daily time frame, so it was in indecision basically. Okay, now it started off strong. Again, like I have been saying, that we could come down and test this area, and that's exactly what we did. We actually broke below it by, I mean, if you zoom in here, we broke below it by about like $1.50, something like that, and then we wicked above it. Okay, so we did, again, this is a doji candle, so this is indecision. This is the markets. Let me go into a smaller time frame. Let me go into like an hour chart. We started out strong. At on Friday. We did dump a little bit, and then we recovered. And I was hoping, I was like, okay, well, hopefully we can stay here, and hopefully, it just stays where it's at, and maybe it closes the day, somewhere, closer to 690 would be great. But we fell all the way back down. Now we did close above the trend, but again, it was nasty to just see it go from 686, 687, and then sell off pretty much almost all the way at close. It was insane. Okay, now again, we do have some data coming out this week. We have the FOMC minutes. So that's going to be a market mover. If you're not familiar with that, like I said, check out the Discord link. I explain, and there's plenty of people to explain some of these things that I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got the FOMC minutes. I believe there's GDP, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that one, but I know FOMC, and then there's also PMI data on Friday. Okay, so those are going to be market movers. We also have some earnings coming up, I believe. I actually have to check. I'm not sure. I put it in the chat, but I'm not sure. I don't think anything major. I believe Walmart does report earnings, but again, so this is, I believe, now again, this is just nothing I say is financial advice, just my thoughts and opinions. But usually, I'm going based off of data here. Usually, when there's a 3-day weekend and we're off on Monday for President's Day, usually the markets like to sell off. I don't know why that is. That's just how it is. And then also judging by the way that Friday reacted, like I said, we fell, we came back up, and then we fell again. And I was just like, what the heck? I would imagine that we open up in the red. Now, something that you can look at, something that kind of, again, this is kind of going based off. I'm just looking at data here, okay? Usually Bitcoin is a front runner to the market. So, like, let's just say, I've said this before in my videos. If Friday, let's just say we closed at 70,000 and Sunday night we're at 65,000, then the markets might open up in the red, and vice versa. If Bitcoin is at 70,000 on Friday, and then it's at 75,000 on Sunday, then markets could open up in the green. Now, so far, I think Bitcoin is actually just hanging around. I don't think it's doing too much. So we'll have to see tomorrow. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm looking at for SPY right now. Alrighty, okay, so another one, again, I did talk about this in my last video, again, is UUUU. Now, again, if you look at the chart, I said basically that it could be primed, it could be ready for a breakout. Now, we're still holding on, okay? So we are still holding on to this cup and handle pattern that I have drawn for you. Now, it did come down a little bit. I did buy a little more shares. My call is down, about 40, $50 right now. So I'm not too worried about it. It expires next month. Now, again, also too, when SPY and QQQ, when there's negative sentiment in the market, when the market's red, everything's going to come down. Okay, so I mean, when you see a breakout like this and there's red in the market, it's like, oh man, I kind of messed it up. Now again, if you do look at it, it is barely hanging on here. So we're gonna have to see. Now again, like I have been saying, I am buying here at this $20 range. Actually, it did close. Look, it closed above the channel barely, but it did close above the channel. Okay, so I am buying here at these levels, $20 ish. I do believe that this is going to get back up to this $30, $28 range. So I am a buyer here. Okay. That's what I'm doing. I am a buyer here on this stock. Now, if we were to fall back into this channel, again, if the markets are red, so is so is, Microsoft, so is your Teslas, so is you know what I'm saying? And it's like big tech has been basically selling off. And that's what's leading everything right now is the fact that big tech is selling off. I mean, Amazon's under 200. Microsoft is at 400. I mean, this is crazy. Okay, now for me, this is a buying opportunity, not to, put all of your money into one basket. If you have $100,000, you don't want to put in $100,000 of Amazon right now. If you have 50,000, if you have $5,000, you don't want to put in $5,000 to Amazon right now. You want to buy dips, buy dips. Goes lower, you buy dips. Not financial advice. Again, that's just what I do. That's what I do with my portfolios. If again, if you've been following my channel, I buy at certain times. And just going back to Hood, I buy at certain levels. I buy here, I buy here, I buy here, I buy here. And then by the time we come back up, because I know we will, I mean, now I'm like, I thank God I started buying. You know what I mean? So again, that's what I'm looking at for the market. Now let's go into Palantir. I feel like a lot of people, like I've been saying, if you've been watching this channel, I sold at 156 and I'm glad that I did. Now, I will say, like I have said, this could possibly get to $90. $90. Now, that's going to be based and that's going to depend on the sentiment of the market. Okay. Now, if you look here, and actually I didn't even see this. Let me pause the video and let me put the line here. Hold on. Okay, so as you can see here, this was a previous all-time high right here at 125 about let's see, February, yeah, this same time last year, February 19th. Okay, so we are sitting on this support level. If we hold this level right here at 126, I believe we closed the day at like 131, if I'm not mistaken. So if we hold this level right here at 126, this could be a bounce. This could be a bounce zone. This could be a bounce level, and we could not go down to that $90 range. Now, Michael Burry just put out something on Twitter, and he said that basically he's expecting Palantir to come down to $50. I don't think it'll go down that low. I mean, unless we have like a recession, a really bad recession, or some sort of black swan event, I don't see it coming down that low. But this is an area of interest right here. I mean, we did already play out. I don't think we've played out enough on this head and shoulders. I mean, you figure that was the neckline right there. That was the breakout spot of 148. We went to, basically a $22 dump. I believe that this should have more sell off. But again, this is an area that I was actually just looking at, an area of interest and an area to potentially go long again here at this 125, 126 range. Now, again, that's going to be based on the sentiment of the market. I believe that this could be another red day on Tuesday, possibly, potentially, maybe a red week. Okay. But again, that's just what I think. But if we have a green week and it does well, then it could be a potential way to start buying calls to come back up here. Okay, so we'll see about that one. That is basically it for the video. Like I said, just my thoughts, just my opinions, nothing's financial advice. I would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to the channel. It really helps out the channel. But yeah, basically, like I said, just to reiterate everything that I said, there's a lot of things that we have to look at. Again, normally if there's a 3-day weekend, there's a sell off. I don't know why. It's just that's what I've noticed. There's some data coming out. There's the FOMC minutes. What is it going to say? Are we going to have maybe some potential rate cuts? Are they going to pause it this year? Powell has done that 2 years in a row. He's paused the rates, and then at the end of the year, he rushes the rates. And he starts doing two or three cuts, just like Trump says. Too late, Powell. Okay, so what's going to happen? And then another thing again, just like front running is Bitcoin. Crypto. If we start to dump, it's Sunday night right now. It's Sunday around almost 6 o'clock. So let's see how Bitcoin and crypto. Let's see how it does tomorrow. Is it going to be red? If we're down to, I think right now we're at like 68K. Actually, let me just go into that chart really, really, really quick. Bitcoin 68K, 69K, something like that. The heck did I do? Oh, I don't know what I did. I didn't type in Bitcoin. I don't know what I did. So you figure, I mean, again, so 68,700. So I mean, if we start coming down to the $64,000 range, that's going to tell me right there that we're probably going to open up in the red. But if we start pushing up 70,000, 71, 72,000, markets might open up in the green. Now, I will say again, something that it happened actually 2 weeks ago on a Monday, if I'm not mistaken, that everybody and their mother was saying, "Oh, we're gonna have the worst Monday ever." The SPY's gonna drop 10%. It's gonna be blood. And I was just sitting there like I could see us having a red day, but like you guys are saying, the world is going to end. And guess what happened? What happened? We had a green day, and then we sold off the rest of the week. Okay, but again, we had a green day. So don't always listen to these people. I'm not saying that this person and this person is wrong. I try to be as cutthroat as I can on this channel and try not to hype things up too much or downplay things too much. Again, I'm not saying that ignore the signs and we're just going to have a green day and we're going to have a green week. I'm actually expecting a red week, but I'm also saying people are saying that again. People are saying, "Oh, it's going to be a horrible week." I've already seen people on Twitter saying, "Oh, get ready to full port puts and go short on the market and bet everything you have." And I'm like, that's how people lose. So don't get stuck in that. Again, I'm not saying that we can't go red. I have a feeling that it's going to be a red week, but I do believe that it'll be a buying opportunity to go long. And I think that that will be a good spot to go long. And if we do have a pullback or some sort of a pullback, that's where I'm going to be looking in like, okay, I think Nvidia is going to do well for earnings. I think it's on the 25th. I think it's going to do well. And I'm going to personally be betting for it. I'm going to be betting for it to do well, and I'm going to be buying some shares, probably buying some calls and stuff like that. I will alert that stuff in my Discord. But yeah, so that's it. Like I said, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I would really appreciate that. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a good week in the markets, and see you next time.